Hey, welcome back. I'm Emmanuel, and in today's class, we are diving into ISO 27001 Annex A Control 5.17. Now, this control is all about authentication information. Now, this control focuses on how organizations can handle, they can protect the information we use to prove who we are, whether that's passwords, PIN, smart cards, or biometric. It's a foundational part of security. Today, we're going to go through what you need to know to implement this properly and avoid any common pitfalls. Now, what is authentication or authenticating information? Authentication is anything you use to prove your identity to a system, like a password, a PIN, biometric, smart cards. All those ones fall under authentication. Now, what ISO 27001 wants you to manage is that they want you to manage this process securely, from creation to the deletion or revocation or disabling of the account. Now, when it comes to creating and assigning credentials, when setting up users, you need to ensure that the process is secured and controlled. Generate password automatically using secure tools. So you who is generating a password, you don't have to know what a password is. You need to enforce strong passwords, complex, not based on personal information. Assign unique credentials to each individual user and use temporary credentials that must be changed immediately after first login. Now, distributing these credentials. When you create an account for someone, you need to distribute it securely. Once credentials are created, deliver them to the user securely. Never send password in plain text via email or chat. Avoid writing them down or sharing verbally in secure channels. And use secure channels like password vaults to be able to make sure you are communicating those passwords. Then the third thing is that you need to make sure that you are keeping records and protect them. You need to know who received the credentials, when they were issued, and how they were delivered. And you need to make sure that you are protecting this log. Have a log where you are keeping this, protect it, encrypt it, and restrict access to only those that need to have access with. Then you have default credentials. That is, you are changing them immediately. Why? You don't want to use your default password because everyone will know your default password. So vendors only ship products with default logins info. Never leave defaults in place. Your process must require changing all default credentials before the person logs into the environment. Then you have user responsibilities. Now, security relies on the user. And so you need to make sure that they are following certain rules. They are not sharing their password or their login information with their various teams. They report any suspicious activity and use strong password and adhere to the company guidelines. Also, you want to make sure that you are providing ongoing training and clear communication to employees for them to understand why these rules are very, very important. Why? Because training helps to reduce the human error and strengthen the culture of security. Now, why strong passwords still matter? Now, even with biometric and multi-factor authentication, passwords remain crucial. A solid password policy should include minimum length and complexity requirements. You need to make sure that they are prohibiting common passwords like ABCD 1 2 3 4. Block reuse of recent passwords. Max password when typed, then store password securely. If you are able to avoid forcing frequent password changes, unless there's specific security events, excessive changes lead to poor practices because people start writing them down, doing minor tweaks where they do 2001, 2002, 2003, and these frequent changes increase user frustration and weaker passwords. Other authentication methods. You need to consider alternatives or supplements to password. Hardware tokens is something that you can consider, biometric scanner, smart cards, fingerprints, and you can even do the mobile generating one-time codes, that is what we call the OTP also. Now, choose methods that fit your environment. ISO gives you that flexibility. What matters is security. Documenting that what you have done and making sure that you are justifying the risks that is involved. Now, some common mistakes that you can watch out for when it comes to this is sharing credentials by insecure email, one size fits all temporary password, leaving default credentials unchanged, having an excessive false password changes that could lead to weak password practices, and no exception process for genuinely shared or service accounts. If exceptions are not necessary, or if exceptions are necessary, document them. Assess the risks and apply compensating controls as and when you need them. And I'm sure you know what compensating controls are. Controls that we put in place because we don't have the actual controls. Now, ISO 27001 understands perfect compliance isn't always possible. So if you deviate from the standard, document the decision and the associated risks. Implement the alternative controls or the complementary controls. Then be prepared to explain your rationale to your auditors. For instance, if you allow password reuse in isolated systems, document why. Why isolated systems? Or why are you using that password? Auditors are reasonable to be able to reason with you and understand some of these things when you bring it up. The Annex A 5.17 isn't just about managing password. It also talks about handling every piece of authentication information with care, from the generation to the distributing, the use, and eventual disabling of the credentials after use. Remember, it's a process record, secure, and review, PRSR in short. I hope this video has educated you, and if you like this video, please go ahead, subscribe, like, or ring the bell, and see you in the next video.